The sky was dark, filled with blinking stars, and the streets were lit with neon lights. He stepped out of the cab with Meena, your best friend, heels clicking on the pavement. Laughter and music echoed from the pub in front of you. It was loud, messy, alive. You smiled for the first time in days. Finally, Meena grinned. We are doing this fine. No guards, no rules, just two free girls. You nodded, though your heart beat a little fast. You didn't tell Jungkook you were coming here. You knew he wouldn't approve. You were married to a mafia leader after all, the silent, loving, overprotective Jungkook John. But he wasn't home. He had gone on a mission. The house was quiet, and you were tired of feeling like a bird in a golden cage. Tonight you wanted to fly, even just for a few hours. Inside the club, lights flashed, red and blue. Music vibrated through your chest. You danced, drank soda, and laughed with Meena. For the first time in months, you didn't feel watched, but you were wrong. Across the street, a black car was parked under a dim street light. Behind the tinted window, Jungkook sat silently wearing a black hoodie. His sharp eyes were glued to the club entrance. The moment he returned from the mission, bruised and dusty, the maid had bowed nervously. Sir, Madam left with her friend. We tried to stop her. Where? He asked calmly, but his tone made the maid shiver. She whispered the address. He didn't speak another word. He didn't even change his clothes. He got in the car and drove straight there. Now he sat watching, waiting, protecting. At 3:20 a.m., you stumbled out of the club with Meena, laughing and holding your heels in your hand. Best night ever, she giggled, waving goodbye before entering her cab. You looked around and sighed, rubbing your tired eyes. It's time to go home. You had no idea. Jungkook's car followed you the entire way. When you opened the front door, you tiptoed inside. The house was dark, quiet. You smiled, thinking Jungkook was still gone. But then you saw him. He was sitting on the living room couch, one leg crossed over the other, a steaming cup of coffee in his hand, your breath caught in your throat. When did you come back? You asked, trying to stay calm. He didn't answer your question. His voice was quiet but heavy. Where were you? You hesitated. At Meena's house, sleepover. Jungkook let out a short laugh, cold and empty. You blinked. What? I was outside the club, he said, looking directly into your eyes. The entire night only for you. Your heart dropped. What? Why didn't you come inside then? Because I knew you would hate me for it, he replied. I knew if I pulled you out, you would say I was controlling again. You opened your mouth, but nothing came out. I stood there, he continued, watching every man who got close to you, making sure you didn't get followed, that no one touched you, that no one harmed you, while you danced, laughed, as if you weren't mine. Jungkook. You lied to me, he said softly again. I just wanted one night to feel normal, you said. I'm always trapped here. I needed air. I wish this marriage didn't happen. He placed the coffee cup down and stood up. His voice was calm, but his eyes were full of pain. You think this marriage is a trap? I didn't say that. You have said it before, Vine. Don't pretend you didn't. You looked away. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did, he said. Maybe not now, but you have thought about it, felt it. You felt your throat tighten. I was angry, frustrated. I didn't mean I hate you, but you said you hate this marriage. Tears welled in your eyes. I was wrong. He stepped back and let out a shaky breath. I don't want to be your prison wine. I never did. You're not, he interrupted gently. Maybe it's time I let you go. Your heart cracked. Don't say that. If these lives make you feel like you're dying inside, he whispered, then I won't hold you here. No, Jungkook, please listen to me. Just then his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, sighed, and answered. Yes, Mom. He stood there frozen. Yes, she's here, he said over the phone. Okay, we'll be there at 6 pm. He hung up and looked at you, voice emotionless. We are going to the family mansion. You nodded slowly, not knowing what else to say. I'll be in room, he said, walking away from you. As his footsteps disappeared down the hallway, you stood in the dark living room, blinking away tears. You had hurt him again, and this time maybe too deeply. You stood alone in the living room long after Jungkook left. The silence felt louder than any fight. Your heart thudded in your chest like a slow drum beat. You had crossed a line again, and this time you weren't sure how to fix it. He slowly walked down the hallway, stopping at the door of bedroom. It was slightly open. You could see him sitting at the edge of the bed, elbows resting on his knees, staring at the floor. His black hoodie was still on. He hadn't even changed. You knocked softly. Jungkook, can we talk? He didn't look up. I don't think we should say anything right now. You stepped in anyway, ignoring the lump in your throat. I need to explain. He looked at you then, eyes tired. Explain what, Vine? That you hate living here? That you hate this life? I have heard it enough. I don't hate you, you whispered. He didn't respond. You moved closer. You have always been good to me. You never hurt me. You never raised your voice. But I kept pushing you away. He shook his head, eyes still low. Maybe I didn't do enough. I never gave you the freedom to be yourself. That's not true, Jungkook. Jungkook stood up slowly. You went out last night without telling anyone. No guards, no safety. You knew it was dangerous. Why would you do that, Ryan? I felt suffocated, you admitted, and I was angry at everything, at this life. I wanted to feel like me again. He nodded, almost too calmly. So, I'm the reason you lost yourself? No, you said firmly, stepping forward. I'm the one who gave up on trying. I blamed you because you were the only one here. It was easier than facing myself. His brows furrowed slightly, but he didn't stop you. I'm sorry, you said again, for last night, for lying, for saying those things. You have said them more than once, Ryan. I know, you whispered, and I know they hurt. He looked away, jaw tight. I told myself it didn't matter, that your comfort mattered more than your words, but last night I felt like a stranger sitting in the car, watching my wife laugh like she never did with me. The guilt crushed you. I was wrong, you said. I sweat. Please don't talk about ending this marriage. I don't want that. You said, you feel trapped. I felt scared, you corrected, scared of how much you cared, scared of being so protected that I would forget who I am. But now I know you weren't the cage, Jungkook. You were the shield. That made him look at you again. I'll be honest with you, he said quietly. Last night, when I saw that drunk man touch your vest, I nearly lost it. I wanted to storm in, but I remembered what you told me before, that you hated being treated like a prisoner. So I waited. I protected you from far. Your voice cracked. It was more than enough, a long silence stretched between you both. Then Jungkook let out a tired breath. I'm not perfect one. I come from a dangerous world. I don't know how to be soft. But I never wanted you to suffer in this marriage. I told you before this marriage that you would be tired of this life. We are not suitable, but you said you wanted to live the rest of your life with me. I never forced you about anything, right, Wine? Except going out alone because you're wife of Mafia King and you will be easy prey for enemies even if small scratch falls. I don't forgive myself, Wine. I didn't marry a soft man, you said. I married someone who makes me feel safe. Even when I'm mad at him, his eyes softened just a little. I don't want to lose you, you whispered. He finally walked towards you and gently tucked a strand of hair behind your ear. You're not going to. You closed your eyes at his touch. His hand lingered near your cheek for a moment before pulling away. I accepted Mom's dinner invitation, he said after a bit. You heard? You nodded. Yes, we have to go tonight. It's for Halbuzi's 80th birthday. Everyone will be there. You swallowed nervously. Will we be okay there? He gave a small smile, though it didn't reach his eyes. They don't know about our problems. Let's keep it that way, just for tonight. You nodded. All right. The black car stopped in front of Jungkook's family mansion just as the sky turned gold with sunset. The estate looked grand and festive, golden lights wrapped around the tall iron gates, and you could hear soft music floating from inside. Jungkook stepped out first and walked around to open your door. You stepped out slowly, holding his arm as cameras from distant family members snapped pictures. You ready? He asked quietly. You nodded, heart pounding. Are you? His lips twitched. I was born ready. You gave a nervous smile. Deep down you were still thinking about the fight, about the pain you caused him. You wanted to fix it. Tonight had to be the start. Inside the dinner hall was full of chatter, clinking glasses, and cheerful greetings. Jungkook's mother approached with a wide smile and hugged you tightly. My beautiful daughter-in-law, she said warmly, you're glowing. You laughed lightly. Thank you, Mom. His grandfather, the head of the family, sat at the grand table in a regal black suit. His eyes twinkled when he saw you both. Come here, lovebird, sit beside me. You and Jungkook took your seats. You sat beside him with cousins, aunts, and uncles all around. Everyone looked excited. Dinner was served, steamed dumplings, noodles, and spicy meats. As the courses arrived, the family kept teasing and chatting, but Jungkook remained mostly silent, only speaking when spoken to. You noticed he wasn't looking at you much. His jaw was tense. He answered politely but coldly. You knew he was still upset, still hurt. You wanted to make it right. So you leaned slightly closer and placed your hand gently on his under the table. He didn't move, didn't flinch. You moved your thumb in slow circles, teasing softly, still no reaction. You slid your hand a little higher. Nothing. You leaned in and whispered close to his ear, still angry. His eyes blinked to you for a second. His voice was slow. Not here. You smiled sweetly and let your fingers trail lightly over his inner that made his breath hitch. But he still didn't speak. You pouted and whispered again, You're no fun. You decided to push one step further, enjoying the game. Your fingers gently, and you felt the tension in his leg increase. But then he said nothing. You felt your heart sink a little. You had expected him to react, to grab your hand, to glare, to do something. Embarrassed, you slowly pulled your hand back and stood up from your chair, pretending to excuse yourself for dessert. Before you could even take a step away from the table, Jungkook's hand shot out and caught your wrist. You gasped, surprised. In one swift move, he tugged you down, not into your chair but into his. You landed right between his on his lap in front of the entire family. Auntie gasped. A spoon clattered. Everyone turned to stare. Jungkook wrapped his arms around your wrist and said calmly, "Her chair wasn't good enough. I'm giving her a proper place to sit." You wanted the floor to open and swallow you whole. Laughter erupted around the table. Oh my god, one of his cousins laughed. They are so in love. Auntie rolled her eyes, smiling. Young people these days, no shame. Get a room, another cousin teased. Jungkook didn't even blink. He leaned close to your ear, his lips brushing your cheek. His voice was deep and full of warning. "You are trying to me, sweetheart?" he whispered. "At my grandfather's dinner table?" You shivered. "Maybe." He chuckled lowly. "You are brave." You tried to wiggle away, flustered, but his arms tightened. "You started this," he murmured. "Just wait till we get home." The rest of the dinner went on with teasing and laughter. You sat frozen, cheeks on fire, trying to act normal, while Jungkook held you firmly. Occasionally he would whisper something like, "Still want to tease me, or you look beautiful when you blush like that." By the time dessert was served, your heart had completely softened. The cold distance between you two had melted into something warm and dangerous. After dinner, as guests stood for family pictures, Jungkook leaned down to you and said, "Let's go now." You nodded breathless. Hand in hand, you left the mansion, waving goodbye to the family. As the car door shut, silence filled the air. He didn't speak. You didn't either, but the tension, it was thicker than ever. The moment you both stepped into the mansion, the silence wrapped around you like a thick blanket. Jungkook shut the door behind him, the click sounding louder than usual. You turned to face him, heartbeat fast. He was looking at you with fire in his eyes, intense, unreadable. You opened your mouth to speak, but he was already walking towards you. "I told you," he said quietly, voice deep and low. "You would pay for teasing me." Your breath caught. "Jungkook?" His hand slid behind your waist, pulling you flush against him. "No more games, Juan," he whispered. "No more running, no more lying." "I'm not running anymore," you breathed. His lips met yours in a kiss that wasn't rushed or angry. It was slow, deep, full of the words you both hadn't said. He kissed you like he had been waiting for this moment for years. Like he was afraid you would disappear. Your hands tangled in his black rose shirt, tugging him closer. His fingers gently caressed your jaw, then slid down to curve off your neck. "You drive me crazy," he murmured against your skin. "You make me want to tear down the whole world just to keep you safe." You smiled against his lips. "Then tear it down, but don't push me away again." He lifted you effortlessly into his arms, carrying you through the hallway like you weighed nothing. You wrapped your arms around his neck, your nose brushing his cheek. I'm sorry, he whispered. He kissed your forehead. Me too. I want to make this marriage work, we will, he promised. No more protecting each other from love. Let's live it, all of it. He looked up at him, eyes glassy with emotion. Together, always, he said, and you believed him. Thank you for watching.